to the WonderCon panel for Amazon Prime Video's Invincible. I'm Amy Dallin, and to kick things off, I need to first give you a warning. We are going to talk some spoilers today. If you have not yet watched the first episode of Invincible on Prime Video, we strongly suggest you go do that thing right now, because we are going to talk about some major plot stuff that happens in that episode. Okay, everybody ready? Did you go? Are you ready for this discussion? Because we can finally talk about some of this stuff. Let's begin. I am joined today by some incredible folks. To start with, Invincible series creator, executive producer, and writer, plus co-creator of a little comic book called Invincible, Robert Kirkman.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Look, cool. I miss WonderCon, and I'm trying to get the feeling back in my head with this, so thank you for going with me on that. And joining Robert are some amazing actors who need no introduction, especially to each other. Please welcome Lauren Cohen and Lenny James.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you all doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well and very excited to be talking to the Guardians of the Globe and to be doing so on this big, full spoiler episode. Are y'all excited to finally get to talk about what happens here?
I mean, I'm definitely excited about that. I mean, there's some pretty explosive things that happen in that series, and I've been doing a lot of promotion for this series, and I haven't been able to talk about anything. And so it's great to finally be able to be like, okay, yeah, this happened. That's cool. Let's talk about it. So it's going to be very freeing. I'm very excited, very relaxed. So yeah, it's going to be great.
Before we get into what exactly happens with the Guardians of the Globe, I want to ask a couple questions. Robert, you decided to pull the Omni Man reveal way forward when you were adapting this for TV. Why did you do that, and why was it important to get it in right at the start? And again, if you haven't left and watched it already, do it right now, because we're getting into it.
Yeah, I think that anyone who recommends Invincible always says, well, you got to wait for the big twist. You know, that's kind of I would say possibly a failing of the comic book series, because I spent maybe a little bit too much time setting this up as a cool superhero universe that, is appealing to superhero fans. But I took my time getting around to that turn where you go, oh, I get what this is. This is something really different. And so when it came time to adapt it, we knew that this was something that we were going to have to move forward. We didn't know exactly where. It happens in the 7th issue of the comic book series. We were thinking, maybe the 2nd episode, maybe the 3rd episode. But when I sat down to write the pilot for this series, I thought, that would really be the best way to end the first episode, to really just kind of set the stage with, here's the premise. And, oh, by the way, the premise is completely different at the end of the episode, just to kind of set the stage for, all the different things to come. It's exciting to me to just kind of get into it right away. I think is a lot of fun.
You have said in talking about the series that the violence in it is there to serve the story. Can you elaborate on that in context now that people have had a chance to see what you really meant by that?
Sure.
What was the point of that, the juxtaposition you kind of get in that first episode, and how will that inform the show going forward?
Invincible is striving to be a series that shows what it's like to exist in this world, and how, realistically we would deal with incredibly superpowered beings who are trying to kill each other. I think that too often in superhero stories, there's a line of dialogue about evacuating the city. And it's like, okay, that's enough. Someone said they evacuated the city. These buildings can come down. It's all good. We don't want to do that in our series. When there are attacks that happen, we want to show that the normal people that inhabit our world are very much in danger, and that terrible things happen, and we want to deal with those terrible things. The violence is there to show you how ugly this world can be, how sad, how scary this world can be. And without that, I feel like we would be doing the world a disservice.
I'm very curious about the timing of that, because this is obviously not your first time taking story that you have written and moving events around. Did anything about your past adaptations inform your decision to move that?
Yeah, this is a little uncomfortable talking about it in front of these actors, so I do apologize. But when we started on The Walking Dead, I was regularly in the writer's room up through season 4, and I was probably known as the lunatic of the writer's room, because I would be like, yeah, let's kill them. That's going to be great. Yeah, kill them too. It doesn't matter if they've been in the comic for, 17 years, fans will freak out. It'll be great. Scott Gimple was really kind of the even when he was just a fellow writer on season 2, he would be like, yeah, dude, no, like that's not how you can't do this. Like this character is beloved. Like we have to, adapt your material. Like he was almost more a steward of the comics I had written than I was. I felt that Walking Dead was something that is most exciting when things are happening unexpectedly. And he was like, no, there's some value to these stories that you wrote. And
You did a pretty good job the first time. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I didn't think so, but whatever. So having had that experience, when it came time to adapt Invincible, it's like a second draft for me. I get to come in and say, okay, I can make this better and I can make that better. But I have gotten over that urge to, change things completely because, it is a well-worn path that I've traveled down in comic book form. So I think I've gotten a little bit better at adapting my own material, and I didn't spend every hour in the writer's room trying to kill Daryl Dixon.
Well, what you did do on this one as well was assemble a pretty incredible reunion. The Guardians of the Globe are all Walking Dead actors, which I think is just going to freak everybody out. It's such a joy. Can I talk to y'all? How did you find out? How did it come together? Is Robert just on a group text being like, I need you, assemble at the following place?
It's so funny. I said to Robert before we started the panel just now, I was like, it was so long ago we recorded, because obviously animation just takes so long, so much longer to do. And so we had done some of our voices. I was in Prague and I don't remember. I probably had an email saying, do you remember, Robert? It was just like, hey, somebody's going to reach out to you and make this official, but can you? Yeah. And then I think just knowing everybody was going to be jumping in, it sounded like a big adventure. And now here we are.
That was pretty much exactly how it happened with me as well. I think I was in London. I think I was in the middle of shooting something, and I got an email from Robert saying it must have been a round robin, just kind of going, listen, they're going to make this official, but there's this thing I'm doing and we really like you to be a part of it. And I just remember kind of saying, yeah, sure, excellent, and not really thinking about it. And then it just kind of became a kind of reality, just because I think I was in the middle of shooting the show that I'd written. So my head was just, exploding. And again, as Lauren said, it was so long ago and it was before anything was animated. So you were just shooting and I was doing it in London. I think Robert was in, where were you, LA or something?
Yeah.
And so we were doing it down the line, weren't even in the same room as each other. And I just remembered speaking these words with very little context, just kind of going, okay, I trust you. I know it works. Tell me how to say it. Tell me what's going on. And literally, I think Robert and just talked me through it. It just would tell me the story, go, this is what's happening at this particular moment. I need you to make this noise. And I just made the noises.
Animation is fun because everybody is in so many different locations and a lot of it is done remotely. Like I'm in the editing room, like watching these scenes come together, hearing all the voices together. Like I'm really seeing a true Walking Dead reunion that I can get really excited about. For everybody else, like most everything was recorded remotely. So like even, like you said, Lauren, like, we recorded this stuff in 2019. So like you were in a recording booth for a day and have no idea like where it went or what happened, and now you get to see it, and hopefully you're not regretting your decision to come on board.
No, not at all. Can I just ask a quick question to Robert too? When you were talking about the decision to take it, it happened to be an animated thing. How do you decide that you wanted it to be animated and not live action?
I could say that the couple times I was on set for Walking Dead and I wanted to have 2,000 zombies and we ended up with 100 zombies was part of it. But yeah, I mean, it's basically the limitations of live action. I mean, this is a show where, our second episode literally has 3 alien invasions. There's an episode where we go to the moon. There's an episode where we go to Mars. There's an episode where Ross Marquand pops in unannounced during the panel.
Hi. Please welcome another Guardian of the Globe, Ross Marquand. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, sorry, thank you. I've got I'm on the road and it's not the best signal out here. So
the backdrop that you have looks so realistic.
I was gonna say.
Oh man, you gotta check this out. Actually, it's. Well, here, let me just.
Yeah, let's do this.
I don't know if you guys can see that. It's really quite pretty.
Hi, Ross. I'm Amy Dallin.
Great.
so excited you could join us today. And I was just finding out that apparently your fellow Guardians got recruited from Prague, from London. Do you remember where you were when you found out via Robert or the group text or whatever the chain of scuttlebutt was that you were going to be a superhero in Invincible?
No, I don't recall. I wish I knew the exact moment. Now I feel bad for not remembering exactly where I was, but Prague and London sound way cooler than wherever I was. That's for sure.
Yeah, I believe you were actually in Antarctica.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were off the coast on a big tanker ship, and you had a really bad signal. But the backdrop on the Zoom was spectacular.
Cool. I am sorry about that. I think it was like 2 years ago. I want to say it was quite a while.
We recorded most of the voices for the show in 2019, which was awesome because we, got it all in under the wire before the world ended.
Right.
So you didn't get to record all together, but was there anything about knowing that you were working with so many familiar faces that was able to inform the way you played your superheroes or imagining them as the greatest defenders of the earth?
I mean, the reason that I wanted to go to this cast for this team is because for people that have seen the episode, you see a very intense fight at the beginning of the episode where they're being very strong and heroic. And at the end of the episode, they're experiencing possibly the most horrific moments of their lives. And that is something that all of these actors have done, I don't know, 1,000 times on Walking Dead. I knew that, in the brief amount of time that we had them, they would all be able to deliver 100% of what we needed with, very little effort whatsoever. And I was right. These actors were absolutely perfect for these roles. And, I hope they're not upset. I mean, in some cases, I've killed these actors twice. In some cases, only the once, and we haven't gotten around to it in Walking Dead yet.
Yes.
But
I noticed actually that the three of us on here are still living. Are the three still living in our show?
You're the three that'll still talk to me.
But I will say one of the funny things is because it was such a long time ago that we recorded it, as I remember Robert talking me through the fight at the end, but then watching it, in preparation for today's panel, watching it took me completely by surprise. I watched it and I was like, oh my God, they kill us. Oh my God, I forgot. And I had completely forgotten and I was completely shocked. And I was like, wow, excellent. I was a complete and utter punter as far as that was concerned. I was a complete member of the audience. I was like, and then I died. Wow. I think I ran in the next room and told my wife, they killed me. That's what happens. Because she was like, well, what happens in it? I go, I can't remember. And then I went, they kill me.
You blocked it out. You were like, oh yeah, this is the show where I'm a superhero. That's the part that I'm going to remember. That's what I'm going to carry forward.
Yeah.
So were you watching the beginning of the episode going, how many episodes of this did I do? And are they
I am not even joking. That's what I was doing. My wife was like, how many of them did you do? I don't know. There was a day. I think I might have done 4 or 5. I'm not sure. I'm not absolutely sure. I'm certain I did 1, but then... And then she was like, what, are you going to do more? And I go, I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard from Robert, so maybe I was just really bad.
No, definitely not. But what I love about this is that it's animation. So in live action, your death sequence would be like a full day shoot and it would be very emotional. Here, we get a couple of, oh, hey, and then, like it all gets cut together.
Boom, and then a head gets ripped off and it's over.
Yeah.
So... What if Lauren and Ross, if you had a chance to watch your big scenes, what was your reaction? What do you remember about filming the deaths? What did you learn from it? Or did you also just choose to live in a world where you go on forever as the Guardians?
Well, we got sent 3 episodes. So I thought, oh, wait, maybe I did 3 episodes. And then I had the same reaction as Lenny. I was like, I wonder if the head goes back on. And it was just, how about you, Ross?
Well, luckily with the immortal, he is immortal, so he's gonna, I think, be okay. But yeah, I mean, like
that's a spoiler I'll allow.
Well, okay. I mean, I mean, his name's the Immortal, so I figured it was okay.
True.
But
yeah.
it's still shocking. I mean, like the way he gets ripped apart, and it's such a weird departure for what you think Omni Man is going to be. You know, you think all of these guys are such good, solid people, and there's not a bad bone in their bodies. And then when that happens, it's such a massive shock. So I'm with Lenny. I loved it. I thought it was terrifying, but you know, a fun surprise.
And so good because you feel that the show is so wholesome, and that it's sort of this father-son story, and then you're just gut punched at the end. So
Yep.
it's very
a
satisfying.
father-son story. It's just
it is.
So I guess now I have to know, if your characters had not all died horribly at the end of episode 1, sorry, what would they go on and do in the show?
Ooh.
Lauren?
I'd like to infiltrate the high school somehow, just sort of be like a guardian at work in the library, and, you know, fake book, peek through, keeping tabs on teenage drug use.
I love that. Ross, what about you?
I think you'd be relaxing a little bit, taking in a nice play, you know, maybe seeing an old timey theater. You know, I think he'd be at the theater. I think that's what he'd be doing. Yeah.
Lenny?
That went well for him last time.
I think that Darkwing would kill all the other Guardians. Rip their hearts out, pull their heads off, and break their spleens. That's what I think he would be doing, and it will be a whole other show.
This may be the first time a character will then pull a twist on Robert Kirkman. I love this.
I did not see that coming. I've never considered
the character
that
just
Omni
steps
Man
out of the
struck.
show and go, you think you were writing this, but actually this is the story we're telling.
Robert, are those answers correct? Do they line up with what would have happened?
No, none of them work whatsoever. It's just, I mean, it's why writers are essential. I mean, actors are very important, but, you know, at the end of the day, you see what they can do without us, and it's just not that impressive.
Wow.
I think you're underestimating how much of us would sign up for the just goes to the theater and nothing happens version of the story.
Yeah.
See? Yeah.
And we all reach for the leave meeting button.
Weird, all the signals just died unexpectedly in the middle of this panel.
We're all driving.
I look forward to the ignored emails next time. I'm like, hey guys, I got a fun project. Maybe, never mind, fine, whatever. I understand.
Next time, will the first question be, do I die horribly? And will that be a plus or a minus?
Be a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Understood.
I do have one question, Robert, that I just wanted to throw in here because I've been curious about this forever. The Invincible comic collections all have sitcom names. And I was personally angry because it took me like 7 volumes to actually put that together. But what was the thinking behind that? And how hard did it get by the end of the run, since nearly all of them followed that pattern?
Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty easy. And the reason for that is that I hate coming up with subtitles for books. I'm not very good at it. I had a system for Walking Dead where if you look at all the Walking Dead volumes, the system was 3 words and it has to sound pretentious. That was the goal. So it's like, those we adore, vague, sure, fine, great. And we're revealing that I remember no titles from any Walking Dead trades right now. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But anyway, basically, Corey Walker, the co-creator, and I are huge fans of Family Matters. That's why there's a Reginald Vell Johnson High School and things like that in the comic book. And so I was like, you know, Family Matters is a great title for the first volume, so let's just do that. And then after that, I was like, I don't want to have to work up like new creative titles for every volume. So let's just pick sitcoms every time. I'd go on the internet, there's like a sitcom database, and I would just sit there for like 20 minutes looking for one that like even like marginally is appropriate. Like Perfect Strangers is like, yeah, you know, like I don't want to spoil. Actually, I can spoil. It's like, oh yeah, Mark doesn't really know his dad anymore. They're like perfect strangers. Cool. Like that works, I guess.
Did you think you'd be doing that for 15 years?
I didn't. It did get a little hard, I guess, at a certain point, because it's like you run out of sitcoms that are really like familiar that people remember and stuff. So that's why there's some obscure ones along the way.
Is there a My Two Dads?
No, there's not a My Two Dads. There should have been though.
Sequel ideas.
We did do a Mr. Ed, I think.
Oh,
we didn't.
I was like, how did I miss that one? The career of the Guardians of the Globe comes to an unexpected end, but while we had them, they were glorious defenders of the earth. And Robert, you have acknowledged before, I think, that they are pastiches on the Justice League. So I have a question for the cast. If you have any thoughts on this, if your character met one of their doppelgangers, who would win in a fight? Would they just hang out? Lenny, what about you? If Darkwing came face to face with Batman, what would happen?
I imagine there'd be a kind of like a Western situation where they'd sip coffee and then go, "You ready?" And they go, "Yeah, we're ready." And then we step outside and we see who blows the other one up first, really.
I love it.
Yeah. I just like the backdrop and one floating and one hanging, and both of them speaking in slightly deep voices for as long as was necessary, and then using their gadgets. I just think there'll be a gadget off. Do you know what I mean? There'd just be flowing gadgets to see which one's going to better the other. Be like a Pokemon type thing.
I am not authorized to request fan art of this, but if you happen to make anyone watching this, I will go look at it. Ross, what about you? You have a choice, actually. You could pick Aquarius versus Aquaman, or you could talk about the Immortal and Superman, or would they all hang out and go to the theater?
I was gonna say I don't know which would be a good composite for the Immortal, but I guess Superman would probably be the closest. I would love to see Aquarius and Aquaman. I just think that would be hilarious, because I feel like both of those superheroes are relegated to their realms, and they're so rarely able to do anything outside of the water that like they'd be like, "Oh man, oh dude, we have so much in common." I think they'd actually get along swimmingly. Just saying.
All right, and Lauren, I'm going to take Fighting Wonder Woman off the table because she's my fave, and I don't want to see anything bad happen to her.
Me neither.
But War Woman is so neat. Can you talk a little bit about what you liked about being her, or what drew you to playing that superheroine?
Yeah, I just think the strength of her, just, as we've talked about already, sort of going in with a little bit of blinders on, but just knowing that we were just kind of a super group, and how much fun it was on the day, and how much fun I knew it was going to be to play her. Just this kind of, I don't know, this like endless resource until it was ended of brutality and strength and heroism and all the things that are fun. To be honest with you, the best thing about playing these animated characters is sometimes how bigger than yourself you can really be in terms of just the portrayal and stuff. So that was just so much fun for me, and then seeing it all come together, and flying. I can't fly in real life, but I would play frisbee with Wonder Woman with the shield, and that would be friendly and nobody would get hurt because we're both very strong and we'd catch it.
Okay, now I am officially requesting art of this if anyone wants to show me what the frisbee fight looks like, because that sounds so fun.
The frisbee friendly.
The frisbee friendly.
Yeah.
Robert, it has been over 15 years since you first dropped the Omni Man reveal onto the unsuspecting comic book public. Since then, you have become sort of a legendary breaker of hearts. I can't be the first person to tell you that.
Sure.
What has changed over that time, and what was it like finally seeing this story play out now that you can talk about some of these spoilers being out there in an adaptation?
I'm just trying to surprise people. I think that as a fan, that's really the basis of everything that I do. I mean, I think about what excites me about things that I watch, and it's when things take a left turn, when things do something unexpected. That's when I, as a viewer or reader or whatever, is always the most excited about what I'm enjoying. And so with everything I do, I'm just trying to add those swerves and do something a little bit jarring and different so that, I can kind of excite people. I think that, this reveal has been out there for a long time in comics, and it's really great to be at a place where, like The Walking Dead, I get to see Invincible now kind of going out into a wider world and, being experienced by different people. And, that's really exciting for me to see something else that I've done, live on in this form, and have a whole bunch of people coming in and hopefully enjoying it. We'll see. But so far things looking good, but who knows? But yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's really great to have this out there and have people experiencing it now. And I hope that they're not noticing that I really have one trick, and it's just abruptly killing characters and surprising people.
it were just the one trick, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation this many years later. I have one more question for all of you, if you would. And feel free to take a pass on this if you love them exactly as they are. But if your Walking Dead character got superpowers, what would you give them?
All right.
Ooh, that's good.
Wow.
Ross?
Well, I mean, I like the mace hand already with Aaron, but maybe 2 mace hands. Maybe it could be just two maces. That's what I want. I want no, please. Can you imagine making a sandwich? Oh man. God. Yeah, 2 maces. 2 maces.
And if you have an idea for a different character, that works too. No pressure to see whether Robert's gonna pass these on. Lenny, what about you?
Okay. I would like the ability to shoot fire out of the end of Morgan's stick.
That would be amazing.
I think he would surprise a lot of people who didn't know that, oh, by the way, he's the guy who swings the stick that fire comes out of. I think that would rock.
You could get a sponsorship from Amazon Fire Stick.
I could, yeah. And I could do the commercial. Hi, I'm Lenny James. I play Morgan on The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, and this is my fire stick.
Yeah.
They're missing out by not already doing this.
Writes itself.
Lauren, Maggie is already a superhero in a lot of ways to a lot of us who love the show. But what if you could plus that with crazy phenomenal powers? What might you do?
This is, by the way, I have to tell you, one of the best questions, because we get so many questions. What weapon would you have? Which character would you be? And you really, this is such a good question. So much so that I really am thinking about it seriously. But honestly, just the ability, I don't have to fly, but just the ability to get a little bit of like jet engine under my boots and just to alight when absolutely necessary. I'd have to like qualify for if the situation was completely dire and there was nothing else that I could do. But that would get Maggie out of so many binds if I could just occasionally fly just a little bit. That would
just
be
a little hop.
Awesome. Yeah, just a little, just 4 feet. And then I could dance over the top of walkers' heads and bounce along like that and kind of sky swim, if you will. But I also have been thinking that my bow needs some blades at the end, like retractable blades, like a bayonet type thing, so that when you're really in, and this is a very practical thing. So if I can't fly, then I'll take this. But that's what I need when you run out of arrows, and then you can kind of just chung chung, or we're working on it.
A bow-a-net? What would you call it?
A bow-a-net!
A bow-a-net.
Wow.
Girl.
Amy is absolutely killing it on this panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a very good time. It is not every day you get to hang out with your several times over comic book faves, and comic book based adaptation faves. Sorry, the comic book fan way of referring to everything does bleed in a bit when we're talking about these things.
Hold on, I'm writing down bow and net.
And fire stick.
Yeah, you got to get the fire stick.
Yes.
And fire stick. Thank you.
We got it, Lenny.
I'm very sorry, Lenny.
Robert, do you have anything you can tease for us about what's coming up in the rest of the season?
My gosh. Well, I think Ross already teased something pretty big by pointing out that Immortal's name is Immortal. So that's something. Anyone who has watched the 3 episodes has a sense of just the scope that we're dealing with and all of the different things that we're able to pull off in an episode. And I think the biggest tease I can give is that there's 5 more of those. If my math is correct, what is 8 minus 3? There's a lot more cool stuff coming. And, as far as violence goes, it's entirely possible you haven't quite seen the tip of the iceberg yet. There's a lot more crazy stuff on the horizon. It's going to be great.
Thank you all so much for joining us today for the WonderCon panel for Invincible. It was such a joy to get to put you back together again and to talk to all of you about the new show.
You did a great job, Amy. Thanks.
Thank you.
This was great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
A reminder to fans out there, the first 3 episodes are available now on Prime Video, and you can catch a new one every Friday until the finale on April 30th. Before we go, we have one more treat for you. We have a sneak peek at the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.
Yay!
Thank you.
NASA's about to launch the first manned mission to Mars. I want you to shadow the mission.
Welcome to Mars, Earthman.
Thanks for having me, Mars Man.
Hello, brother.